Hello, everyone. Don Blue here with Grace Church, and I'm excited to be your host for another episode of what we're calling Distance Socializing. And it's our attempt to try to connect folks, even though we're not able to meet during this COVID virus. And we know a lot's going on around us and producing a lot of confusion and anxiety and stress and a lot of uncertainty. And we know that many of you are facing, are really having a hard time. So the idea is just to provide just some perspective around some of the concerns you might be facing. And the format we're going to use is we've brought in kind of subject matter experts around some of these areas. So whether it's marriage or parenting, today we're going to be talking about finances, and just have a real simple Q&A with some subject matter experts that'll hopefully address some of your concerns. And so today we've got two guests, and I think they're going to be able to provide a perspective around some of the financial anxiety and uncertainty that you guys might be facing. So let me introduce our guest. First is Heather Perry. Heather is a financial coach, and she is sheltering, I guess, right now in Chaska with her husband, Matt, and two active little boys. And Heather is also a member of our Finance and Management Committee at Grace Church. That's a committee that actually provides some oversight and governance for Grace Church's finances. We also have Tim Brown, a certified financial planner. And Tim works and lives in Eden Prairie with his wife, Stacy, and I believe four active children. And Tim has also been provided some great leadership, literally for the last, 10 years, Tim, around the Dave Ramsey Financial Peace program at Grace Church. So we're excited, you guys. Thanks for taking the time and willingness to kind of share your experience and perspective. I think it'll be helpful. So let me tee up kind of the first big question. And obviously the big headline is, I saw yesterday that I think it's up to 20 million people have filed jobless claims now, and many more are being furloughed or soon to be furloughed. So the first question I want to tee up for you guys is, so what should I do if I've lost my job or I'm on furlough and I actually have bills that are due, but I can't pay those bills? What would you suggest there?
Yeah, what I would recommend you do is first gather the information and create a budget so you know exactly what your expenses are. And the first thing you're going to want to do is really cut those expenses as much as possible. And what we always focus on is paying just the critical basic expenses, and that's going to be food so you can eat, utilities so you can keep your lights on, your rent and mortgage so you have a place to live, and basic transportation. But right now we're not driving anywhere, so that's really not an issue. And so what I would do is take inventory of that, and then if you have no income, depending on what other resources you have, let's say go out and get a part-time job. That's going to be your best bet right now. There's lots of people hiring on part-time basis, and I'd go and look to get some income coming into the house.
Okay. Heather, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think looking at that additional income is probably your best bet right now, so along with those part-time jobs. Call and start negotiating on some of the bills you might have withstanding. Start canceling those subscriptions. As tempting as Netflix is right now, might not be an essential for you to have, so really start buckling down on that budget.
And my guess is, my understanding would be that there's, whether it's lenders or utility companies, there's going to be some measure of grace here in terms of delayed payments. And so I'm sure one of the things they could probably do is figure out which ones of those payments they actually can talk to the company and say, I can't pay this. Can I delay or be on a plan? Okay, good. How about, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, that's right. If you don't have the income, I just start, I pay the absolute minimum on any of your, if you have debts, I pay the absolute minimum. Depending on your income, you can even put you could, worst case scenario, put those on hold. Now, if you have savings, you could use that. But, a lot of people are concerned about, hey, am I going to get foreclosed on? And it takes 6 months to get, go through a foreclosure. So, if you've been lost your job for a month now, you're going to be fine. Go get a part-time job, get some income coming in, and you've got plenty of time.
How about tapping retirement accounts, 401ks, or using credit cards to pay bills?
We don't recommend using your 401k or credit cards. We would stay away from that in all instances. I'd say go get a job, go find a part-time job, go find 5 part-time jobs. There's people hiring on a part-time basis. So if you've been furloughed or let go, your job will probably come back. We just don't know when. So you need to go fill up that, get some income coming into the house. I would not tap the 401k, and I wouldn't use any more credit cards. That's just sort of digging a hole that you're going to have to get yourself out of. So we don't want to do that. And so I would avoid that as much as possible. Cut your expenses, get a part-time job, do a budget. You know, a lot of times people don't realize how much they're spending until they actually do the budget.
Sure. How about the situation where one spouse loses his or her job and the other spouse's job is stable? Any kind of thoughts around how they should proceed?
You know, if you're in that situation and one spouse still has an income, then hopefully you can still cover your basic expenses. And the way I'd look at this is a wake-up call. If you have not put a budget together, now's a great time to do it. You've got some extra time on your hands. Let's use that diligently. Remember, the Bible says the diligent prosper. So let's be super diligent right now and use that time. I put a budget in place. I would start getting out of debt. I would go find, if that person that lost the job, they should go find a part-time job. And you can start building that emergency fund so that you're ready for an emergency if, in the worst case scenario, you both lost your job.
Okay. How about just, when there's how do you plan for uncertainty in your income? What I know you can't, we don't have crystal balls. We don't know what's going to happen. But when there's a lot of uncertainty about income, what would you suggest there?
Well, I always like to say, be prepared. So we want to do a budget. We want to build an emergency fund. So if your income is uncertain, you really want to accumulate as much cash as possible. So you really want to put on hold any payments that you possibly can and pay the absolute minimum and build up a nice cash reserve. We recommend people have 3 to 6 months of expenses in the bank as an emergency fund, so that if worst case scenario, you lose your job or get furloughed, you've got a good cushion to fall back on.
Okay. How about when is it appropriate to dip into savings, or obviously this is kind of an unprecedented situation. Any suggestion there? Or tapping other resources, whether it's family members or there's certainly some other government resources out there. Any suggestion on kind of when it's appropriate to do that?
Well, again, I'm going to recommend go out and get that part-time job to try to fill the gap as much as possible. Let's say you've done that, you still have needs. Hopefully you have an emergency fund set aside, some savings, and you can start using that. Obviously you want to be real careful because you don't know how long we're going to be in this. So we want to minimize that as much as possible. The 401k, I say don't touch that. Usually the only place I would touch the 401k is if you're going into foreclosure. And if you're going into foreclosure and you can pull some money out of that 401k, that would probably be the only time I would tap the 401k. However, again, we've been in this, a month, and it takes about 6 months to go through foreclosure. So you should be, that shouldn't even be an issue right now.
Okay. How about those that might be in a situation that they're fortunate that they haven't lost their job and they do have income? Anything else they should be doing differently, in this environment? Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I would, again, I'd use, you've got extra time, right? So you've got a stable job, you're working from home more than likely, and it frees up a lot of time. And I would say this is a great opportunity to get your house in order, your financial house in order, right? Because you have time to do a lot of those things that you've been putting off. So that could be getting on that budget. It could be reviewing your insurance to make sure you have all the right insurance in place. Get a will. Everyone should have a will. If you need to refinance your mortgage, the rates are super low right now. That might be a great opportunity for you. So look at refinancing your mortgage. It's really a good time to try to get that overall financial house in order. If you need help, I'd recommend getting help to do that.
I'd say too, don't use this as an opportunity.
So Heather,
yeah, to like not pay your bills, because that option might be there. You've got the money, pay your bills. Don't defer those student loans, because they're going to be waiting for you at the end. So I think, like Tim said, use this as a good wake-up call to get your financial house in order. Financial Peace University is offering 2 weeks free right now, so great opportunity to start digging in on your own and really start self-educating yourself around your finances.
Okay. How about where would you point people just for kind of assistance and resources? I know, Heather, you do a lot of coaching. How would someone even go about finding someone like yourself to perhaps assist?
Yeah, Dave Ramsey is someone that I very much trust, and I am certified through Ramsey Solutions. So I would suggest going to his website. He's got so many resources right now, along with, like I said, 2 weeks free Financial Peace University, and an ability to connect you with people who have those same biblical principles around money. That can be really great right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other thoughts, Tim, on that front in terms of resources?
I agree. The DaveRamsey.com website has some great resources, and they're offering the free sessions for Financial Peace University. I say go join those. Get your kids to, your college student kids to watch those so they're prepared in the future. And I always say, pray like it depends on God and work like it depends on you. So again, we want to turn to God, pray, but we also want to do all the work we need to be doing and be diligent.
Also, I will, another session we had with Dave Sparkman of Crossroads had some great resources around those folks who are, again, in job transition or looking for their career, their calling. And the website there is, it's mncrossroads.com, minnesotacrossroads.com. And there's some great resources there in terms of agencies, government agencies, and so forth. They're also available. Well, we're going to try to keep this short, so we're going to get kind of near the end here. Any other just kind of closing thoughts or general advice that you would use to encourage folks right now?
Use this time. You've got, you've got time now that's freed up. You're working from home possibly. Use that time to get your financial house in order. Do those things that you've been needing to do, like get that budget started, get the insurance, get a will in place. That's, be prepared. We want to be prepared. Cut expenses where you can, and get help if you need it. Don't put it off. Use this time to set yourself up for success. Okay.
Heather, any thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. I think great opportunity to get your financial house in order. Great time if you've got kids to be really honest about the current situation as well, to have open conversations with them so that you're setting the next generation up for success.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know my family situation, we never even talked about money or finances, and it was kind of a big unknown, and my parents struggled, I know, financially, but they never would talk about it. So I had a lot of anxiety and fear about that. But yeah, transparency, and obviously a very unique teaching opportunity here for the kids. And it was also said too, is no shame in this in terms of needing help and reaching out for assistance. Again, we're in an unsure, so a lot of times there's folks that maybe are a little reluctant to reach out because they might be ashamed of decisions they've made, or they've made some mistakes financially. How would you encourage those folks? Heather, again, you got people all the time coming that are in difficult situations. How would you encourage them?
Yeah, I always talk about that next generation. So what you're doing now is setting your future family up for success. And the other part is we all need accountability around something, whether that's working out or keeping your house clean or your finances. And sometimes you just need, whether that's a coach or it's a friend that can help you stay accountable and on track. And so there's no shame in sharing
Sure.
some of that information.
Yeah, and sometimes people don't want to talk about their finances, but again, certainly no shame and an opportunity to be transparent and get some help. Well, thank you both. I think our time's just about run out, so I appreciate you guys taking the time and willing to share your experience. And I'll close just by, again, as we've closed most of these other sessions, the big headline, and whether it's parenting or finances, we want to trust God here because God is sufficient. In Philippians 4:19, he says he'll meet every one of our needs. And also encourage you to take a look at Matthew 6:26 and 27. It's a passage that talks about God taking care of the birds in the air, and how much more valuable we are than the birds in the air, and that he'll supply our needs and meet our needs, and so we don't need to be anxious about tomorrow. So thanks again, Heather and Tim, and thanks you who have joined us, and pray that God blesses you. Thank you.